Have you ever heard the adage, it takes one to know one? Watchtower seems to be exceptionally good at telling their followers that they should protect themselves from misinformation, all the while spreading misinformation like it's InfoWars up in here. But don't take my word for it. Let's listen to Gary Breaux, and see what this helper to the service committee has to say about the subject. So let's go.
Don't sue me, bro.
Hello and welcome to Extra Witness Awake. I am your host, Jonathan. I hope that you are having an amazing day. About a week ago, jw.org posted a video of Gary's morning worship talk, Protect Yourself from Misinformation. He starts by sharing a scripture, Daniel 11:27.
The text for the day, Daniel 11:27. The two kings will sit at one table speaking lies to each other. And as long as there's been human kings, well, lies have been told to the populace. The Greek philosopher Plato said this: the rulers of the state may be allowed to lie for the good of the state. And over the centuries, kings and rulers and diplomats have perfected their skills in diplomacy and deception.
While I can't disagree that nations and rulers will sometimes lie to people in order to benefit their country, cults such as Jehovah's Witnesses will spread lies in order to benefit themselves, specifically the leadership, the governing body.
Now, the scriptures give us an example of a bold-faced lie by a diplomat.
Bold-faced lies.
And if we turn to Isaiah 36 and verses 16 and 17, the one speaking here is the Rabshakeh. He was the cupbearer of King Sennacherib. And here's what he says, 16, speaking to God's people.
Do not listen to Hezekiah, for this is what the king of Assyria says. Make peace with me and surrender, and each of you will eat from his own vine and from his own fig tree and will drink the water of his own cistern, until I come and take you to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards. He was promising peace and security, wasn't he? But you see, what they had to do first was surrender to the king in order to get this peace and security that's being promised. But the thing is, Jehovah had promised peace and security to his people long before this. Effectively, what the Assyrian was doing was offering peace and security apart from Jehovah God.
The religion has, in essence, been around for about 145 years, and in that time, many lies have been told in order to make themselves look better, to look good, to keep the followers in line, and even to hide criminal activity.
It's of note that liars will often shroud or cover their lie in truths. And a brief math fact
Like multiplication.
can illustrate, we've talked about this recently. You recall that anything multiplied by zero ends up in zero, right?
See, what is 10 times 0? 0. 100 times 0. 1,000 times 0. 1,000,000 times 0. We still have 0. So if we don't do anything, Jehovah has nothing to multiply.
So no matter how many numbers are multiplied, if there's a zero that's multiplied in that equation, it's going to end up in zero. The answer is always a zero. The tactic that Satan uses is to insert something valueless or false in otherwise true statements. See, Satan is the zero. He's a giant zero. Anything that he is combined with will be valueless, will be a zero. So look for the zero in any equation of statements that cancels out all the other truths.
Gary here is making what is probably one of the dumbest illustrations I've heard in a while. It's fair to make comparisons for the purpose of making a point, but it helps if it makes some kind of sense. Using the 0 times whatever equals 0 illustration makes it seem like a talking point filled with verifiable facts is all garbage because something in that argument is perceived as false. By that logic, nearly every word printed by the Watchtower is a steaming pile of crap.
That is one big pile of shit.
Facts are facts, and you can't just toss everything out because it simply doesn't come from your high control religion and it doesn't support your worldview.
And there it says that the king of the north and the king of the south will sit at a table speaking lies. And that's exactly what happened. In the late 1800s, Germany, the king of the north, and Britain, the king of the south, told each other that they wanted peace. They lied to each other and they lied to the people that were following them. German general boasted, "In 2 weeks, we shall defeat France." What really happened? Well, the lies of both of these kings resulted in massive destruction and millions of death in World War I and World War II later.
The thing about a German general saying, "In 2 weeks we will defeat France," well, duh. No one doubts that they wanted to accomplish conquest in a short period of time, quickly as possible. No one would say, "We figure this will take 10 years, but it's okay with me." Notably, Vladimir Putin expected his military action in Ukraine to be completed in several days, but it's been well over a year now. That doesn't mean that he was lying by saying we would do this quickly. That's just his view. I don't even know why Gary Breaux brought this up. Having an opinion or a view doesn't necessarily make it a lie. It's if the facts don't match and it's false. That's what makes it a lie. It's admittedly been quite a while since I've heard any significant mentions of the peace and security thing. The last time I can really remember that was probably in talks or articles in the 90s. It's like they forget about certain things for a while and then they just sort of dust them off and bring them out later. I'm curious about the judgment message that the Jehovah's Witnesses are supposed to change over to. So they're talking about peace and love and God's kingdom now, but it's supposed to turn into you're all doomed, it's too late. But they recently made that change to where you can now join whenever you're ready. You can basically wait till the Great Tribulation has started and it's A-okay to make a last-minute conversion. So it's almost as if the things that they believe and profess are changed as needed. So when these things change, they have a new light teaching. And is that promoting misinformation when it changes like that? Now, this last part of Gary Breaux' talk is a real piece of work. If we didn't know that the governing body themselves wrote it, or at least approved his words, I think that Gary must buy chapstick in bulk, because that's a whole lot of butt kissing, and it's really tough on the skin.
Now, in our day, there is another group of men that are sitting at one table, our governing body. They never lie or deceive us. We can have absolute trust in the governing body. They meet all the criteria that Jesus gave us to identify them by. We know exactly who Jesus is using to protect his people from the lies. We just must stay alert. So in review, how can we identify a lie? Look for the zero, any component in a statement or teaching that cancels out a Bible truth. How can we avoid being caught up in the cry of peace and security? Well, Jehovah has already promised peace and security and has clearly forewarned us that a false cry will soon be coming. And what table can we trust? The table surrounded by our future kings, the governing body.
Future kings? Wow. Do you get the idea that they would gladly cut out the middleman and just stop talking about Jesus altogether if they could get all the glory for themselves? What happened to the Watchtower of the 80s and 90s where no one really knew who they were? They were just these mysterious wise people who would write articles and make decisions about policy. It used to be that giving glory to yourself was a big no-no. You didn't have any names on articles. But now they're out front and center. We know who they are. We know what they do. We can see, when it's a talk, it's attributed to this particular brother. Whereas the old days, that wouldn't be the case. The governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses demand adoration and obedience, and they are damn well willing to tell lies in order to get what they want. They want to keep people's hearts and minds on them. So if you are an active witness and you happen to see this talk that Gary Breaux is giving, really think about how low they've been willing to go in order to keep you practically worshiping them as the earthly rulers of Jehovah's kingdom. And just like that, the talk is over, and so is my video. Thank you for watching. I hope that you will please like, share, and subscribe, and show me support by boosting the algorithms and getting my content out to other people. If you like it, please give it a click. That's all for now. So bye. Notably, can't say his name.